We navigate a world awash in noise, constant demands, and unforeseen tempests. Life, in its raw and unpredictable beauty, often feels like a vast, turbulent ocean. We are small vessels, tossed by waves of circumstance. Anxieties about the future ripple beneath the surface. Regrets about the past anchor us in place. The sting of unexpected loss cuts deep. The frustration of unmet expectations leaves us feeling inadequate, and the relentless pressure of modern existence, amplified by endless information and comparison, urges us to constantly be more, do more, have more. It's incredibly easy to feel adrift in this sea of stimuli, overwhelmed by the sheer volume of it all, feeling powerless against currents we didn't create and cannot control. In this swirling uncertainty, we instinctively search for an anchor, a steady point in the turning world, a lighthouse beam to guide us through the fog and the inevitable storms. For centuries, seekers of inner peace and a truly meaningful life have turned to a philosophy born not in quiet monasteries or ivory towers, but forged in the bustling, often chaotic marketplaces and political arenas of ancient Greece and Rome. This philosophy is Stoicism, and far from being a cold doctrine of suppressing emotion or passively accepting fate, as common caricatures might suggest, Stoicism offers a powerful, practical, and deeply compassionate framework for navigating the intricate complexities of human existence. It presents a clear path toward what the ancients called human flourishing, a life of profound well-being, purpose, and deep fulfillment, built not upon the shifting sands of fleeting pleasures or the unreliable ground of external validation, but upon the unshakable bedrock of inner strength, cultivated reason, and unwavering moral excellence. Tonight, let us embark on an extended journey into the very heart of Stoicism. Let's explore in greater depth how this ancient wisdom can illuminate our often confusing modern lives. We will delve into how it helps us cultivate profound resilience against adversity, how we can discover genuine tranquility even amidst chaos, and how we can live with unwavering purpose by consciously focusing our energy on the one domain that is truly, unequivocally our own, our inner world, the realm of our choices, judgments, and actions. This is an exploration, a journey toward understanding what it truly means to live virtuously, guided by practical wisdom, and anchored by the deep, abiding peace that comes from courageously accepting what we cannot change and acting with clarity and integrity upon that which we can. And imagine yourself standing perpetually at a crossroads, a fundamental choice point in human experience. Before you lie two distinct paths, representing two different ways of directing your attention and energy. One path stretches outwards, seemingly infinite, cluttered with everything that lies beyond your direct command. The unpredictable shifts in the weather, the frustrating delays in traffic, the shifting opinions others hold of you, often based on incomplete information or their own biases. The vast and complex movements of the global economy, the sudden onset of illness in yourself or a loved one, the ultimate final outcome of even your most meticulously crafted plans. This external path is characterized by inherent uncertainty and constant, often bewildering flux. Attempting to exert control over everything on this path is akin to trying to command the tides or hold fine sand tightly in your fist. It is an utterly exhausting, ultimately futile endeavor, inevitably breeding anxiety, frustration, and a pervasive sense of victimhood. The Stoic teachers, particularly the sage Epictetus, who rose from slavery to become a respected philosopher, implored us with profound urgency to turn our primary gaze towards the other path. This path leads inwards, into the landscape of the self. It encompasses the entirety of what is within our direct and immediate power. The judgments we form about events, not the events themselves, but our interpretation of them. The intentions that motivate our actions, the desires we choose to cultivate or reject, the aversions that shape our fears, the voluntary actions we undertake, the conscious assent we give to the impressions that flood our senses, and ultimately, the very fabric of the character we choose day by day, action by action, to weave for ourselves. This inner domain is our mental fortress, the inner citadel where our true freedom resides. This fundamental distinction, often called the dichotomy of control, This clear separation between what is up to us and what is not serves as the absolute cornerstone of practical Stoic living. It is not a call for apathy or detachment from the world. Rather, it is a call for radical clarity and strategic wisdom. It's about consciously, deliberately directing our finite and precious resources, our attention, our energy, our emotional investment, where they can actually yield meaningful results, where they can truly make a difference. Why squander vital emotional energy raging against the unavoidable inconvenience of rain? Why chain our sense of self-worth and happiness to the notoriously fickle and often irrational approval of others? Why inflict needless torment upon ourselves by dwelling obsessively on past mistakes that cannot be undone, or by anxiously projecting catastrophic scenarios onto future events we cannot definitively predict or prevent? The core Stoic insight is both simple and profoundly revolutionary. Our lasting peace of mind, our durable serenity or inner peace, does not depend on successfully manipulating the external world until it perfectly conforms to our desires. Such a feat is impossible. Instead, our inner calm depends entirely on arranging our internal world, our thoughts, judgments, and intentions in accordance with reason and moral excellence. It's about deeply internalizing the understanding that while we are powerless to control the size and fury of the waves crashing around us, we always retain the power to learn how to skillfully steer our own ship. We can choose our response to any situation. We can choose our attitude, our perspective. We can choose in any given moment to act with courage, fairness, self-control, and wisdom, regardless of how challenging or unfair the external circumstances may appear. That power, that fundamental freedom of choice, can never truly be taken away from us unless we, through fear or ignorance, willingly surrender it. This realization is not just comforting, it is deeply empowering. So if external factors, things like wealth, physical health, social reputation, status, even the continuation of life itself are ultimately outside our complete control, and therefore cannot be the true measure or foundation of a genuinely good life, what then should serve as our unwavering guide, our North Star? For the Stoic philosophers, the answer was clear, consistent, and emphatic: virtue understood as moral excellence. But Stoic virtue, or moral excellence, transcends merely adhering to a list of societal do's and don'ts. It represents a dynamic, ongoing striving for the highest excellence of human character. It means living in conscious harmony with reason, our capacity for logical thought and understanding, and aligning ourselves with our inherent nature as rational and profoundly social beings, designed to live and cooperate within a community. This pursuit of excellence is identified as the highest good, indeed the only true good, precisely because it resides entirely within that sphere of things absolutely within our control, our choices, our judgments, our voluntary actions. Everything else the Stoics termed indifference, things like health, wealth, pain, or poverty. These might be naturally preferred or dispreferred, but they possess no inherent moral quality. They are neither truly good nor truly bad in terms of our ultimate well-being and character. Chasing these external indifference as the source of happiness inevitably leads to emotional instability, as they are subject to forces beyond our command. The Stoics articulated this moral excellence through 4 cardinal virtues, acting like reliable points on a compass, guiding us towards a flourishing life, a life of deep meaning. Wisdom, practical wisdom. This is more than just accumulating knowledge. It's the crucial ability to skillfully discern truth from falsehood, to accurately differentiate between what is genuinely beneficial for our character, what is harmful, and what is merely neutral or indifferent. It is the practical knowledge of how to live well, involving making sound, reasoned judgments, understanding cause and effect in human affairs, navigating complex social situations with clarity and insight, and foreseeing the likely consequences of our actions. Justice, fairness, and integrity. This virtue encompasses fairness, honesty, kindness, and acting rightly and equitably towards others. It stems from recognizing our shared humanity, our inherent connection to all other people, and conscientiously fulfilling our social duties. It means treating everyone with respect, dignity, and integrity, contributing positively to the common good, and understanding that, as Marcus Aurelius often reflected, We are all interconnected parts of a single, larger organism: courage, fortitude, and moral strength. This extends far beyond mere physical bravery in the face of danger. It primarily refers to moral courage, the inner strength required to face difficulty, adversity, pain, loss, or social disapproval with resilience and unwavering principle. It involves standing firmly by our reasoned convictions, speaking truth even when it is unpopular, enduring hardship without succumbing to paralyzing fear or despair, and consistently choosing the right course of action, especially when it is the harder path. Temperance, moderation, and self-control. This virtue signifies maintaining balance, exercising self-control, and practicing moderation in all things. It involves mastering our desires and impulses, avoiding harmful excesses in pleasure or passion, cultivating self-discipline, and responding to situations with calm, rational restraint rather than being swept away by fleeting emotions, appetites, or external pressures. Living a life centered on moral excellence means making a conscious, continuous effort to embody these qualities in the fabric of our daily lives. It involves developing the habit of pausing and asking ourselves reflective questions. Am I viewing this situation with clarity and objectivity? Wisdom. Am I acting fairly and considerately towards everyone involved? Justice. Am I confronting this challenge with resilience and inner strength? Courage. Am I responding with balance and self-control rather than impulsive reaction? Temperance. This dedicated pursuit is the pathway to genuine, sustainable happiness. Not because striving for virtue magically guarantees external rewards, or a life free from hardship history and experience show it often doesn't, but because the very act of striving for excellence, the conscious effort to align our actions with our highest rational and social nature, constitutes the flourishing life itself. It's about discovering profound meaning, not solely in achieving specific outcomes, which are often beyond our control, but in the quality of our intentions and the integrity of our efforts. It's about meticulously building a resilient inner character, a psychological core that remains steadfast, rational, and serene, regardless of the unpredictable whims of fortune or the actions of others. This inner character becomes the indestructible source of our peace. Life, by its very nature, will inevitably present us with significant challenges. Loss, failure, betrayal, physical pain, emotional suffering. These are not rare anomalies to be avoided at all costs. They are intrinsic, unavoidable parts of the rich tapestry of the human condition. The Stoic practitioner does not seek the impossible goal of eliminating all hardship, nor do they adopt a facade, pretending these experiences don't cause pain or difficulty. Instead, the focus is on proactively cultivating the inner resilience and practical wisdom required to navigate these inevitable difficulties without being psychologically shattered or losing our moral compass. How is this inner fortitude built? Through consistent, deliberate practice. Stoicism is fundamentally not an armchair philosophy designed for passive contemplation. It is an active, demanding training regimen for the mind and soul, requiring daily application. One potent technique is the practice often referred to as the premeditation of adversity or negative visualization. This is not about dwelling morbidly on potential disasters or cultivating pessimism. Rather, it functions as a form of psychological inoculation. By calmly and rationally contemplating potential future misfortunes, imagining scenarios like losing one's job, facing a health crisis, experiencing the loss of a loved one, encountering conflict or betrayal, we strategically diminish their power to shock and overwhelm us should they actually occur. We mentally rehearse our intended virtuous response, how we would strive to act with courage, wisdom, and acceptance. This practice also has the powerful side effect of dramatically increasing our gratitude for what we currently possess, right here and now. When adversity does strike, we are far less likely to be paralyzed by panic or plunged into despair, because we have, in a sense, already visited that challenging territory in our minds and consciously prepared our inner defenses. Another crucial element in forging resilience is the deliberate reframing of obstacles. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who diligently practiced Stoicism amidst the immense pressures of his role, famously wrote in his personal journal, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This represents a kind of mental alchemy, transforming perceived negatives into positives. Instead of viewing a setback, a failure, or a difficulty as a discouraging dead end, the practicing Stoic actively asks, what valuable lesson can I extract from this experience? How can this challenge serve to make me stronger, wiser, more patient, or more compassionate? How can I specifically utilize this difficulty as a concrete opportunity to exercise and strengthen the virtues, perhaps courage in facing it, justice in my dealings related to it, temperance in my emotional response, or wisdom in finding a constructive path forward? Seen through this lens, the obstacle is not merely something to be passively endured. It becomes raw material for virtuous action and personal growth. This mindset naturally leads towards the profound, though admittedly challenging concept often translated as the love of fate, or the welcoming embrace of all events. This goes beyond mere passive acceptance or resignation. It signifies an active, affirmative embrace of everything that happens in our lives, whether subjectively perceived as good or bad, viewing it all as necessary, interconnected, and ultimately part of the vast, intricate, rational order of the universe, what the Stoics sometimes refer to as cosmic reason or the underlying principle governing reality. It involves cultivating a deep trust that even events that appear tragic, senseless, or unjust from our limited human perspective ultimately serve a purpose within the grand tapestry of existence, even if that purpose remains hidden from our current understanding. It means saying a wholehearted yes to reality as it unfolds, fully and without internal resistance or reservation, thereby freeing ourselves from the exhausting and futile struggle against the inevitable. This attitude does not imply inaction. We still act with vigor and virtue within our sphere of control, but we cease the draining internal warfare against the fundamental nature of the universe and our specific, unfolding destiny within it. Through the consistent application of these practices, mentally preparing for adversity, skillfully reframing obstacles into opportunities, and cultivating an embrace of reality, we forge deep and lasting resilience. We meticulously build that inner citadel, brick by reasoned judgment and virtuous action, steadily strengthening our capacity to withstand life's inevitable storms with grace and equilibrium. And hand in hand with this growing resilience comes true wisdom, the deep experiential understanding that our ultimate well-being, our enduring flourishing, lies not in the futile attempt to control the external world, but in the diligent mastery of our internal responses, judgments, and choices. And so through this dedicated practice, we arrive at the tranquil shores of inner peace, that state of profound calm and serenity. This is not a state of emotionless apathy or a blissful ignorance of the world's problems. Rather, it is the deep, unshakable calm that naturally arises from a mind consistently aligned with reason and committed to moral excellence, firmly anchored in the clear understanding of what lies within our control and what lies outside it. It is the enduring peace that persists, a quiet strength that holds steady, even when the external world is swirling in turmoil, uncertainty, or conflict. Imagine that inner citadel once more, that mental fortress we've been building. Outside its walls, the unpredictable winds of fortune may howl fiercely. The sharp arrows of misfortune, criticism, or loss may fly. The deafening clamor and demands of the external world may roar incessantly. But inside, if we have diligently and consistently practiced our Stoic principles, there exists a protected space of quiet strength, clarity, and unwavering resolve. This is the internal state where we predominantly reside when we consciously and habitually, clearly and consistently distinguish between what we can directly influence, our thoughts, our judgments, our intentions, our actions, our character, and what we ultimately cannot. External events, final outcomes, other people's choices and opinions. Focus the vast majority of our energy and attention on living virtuously, striving in each situation to act with practical wisdom, fairness, moral courage, and self-control. Accept external events that we cannot change with equanimity and grace, understanding them as fundamentally indifferent to our true happiness, which resides solely in the quality of our virtuous response. Actively reframe challenges, setbacks, and difficulties not as disasters, but as valuable opportunities for personal growth, and the specific practice of virtue. Deliberately cultivate gratitude for the good things we already possess and experience, rather than perpetually lamenting what we lack or living in constant fear of potential future losses. This resulting tranquility is not a fragile, easily shattered state. It is not contingent upon constantly getting what we desire or successfully avoiding what we fear. It is, instead, a robust, resilient, and deeply grounded peace, born from authentic self-mastery, emotional regulation, and a fundamentally correct, reality-based understanding of the world and our specific place within its unfolding drama. It mirrors the quiet confidence of the skilled archer who focuses with meticulous care on their stance, their grip, the smooth draw of the bowstring, the clarity of their aim, knowing they exert full control over the process of shooting, while acknowledging they cannot control the unpredictable gust of wind that might arise at the last second to slightly divert the arrow's flight. Their deep satisfaction comes not merely from hitting the exact center of the bullseye, an outcome, but from the excellence and integrity of their effort and execution, a process entirely within their control. Living a Stoic-inspired life is emphatically not about achieving some mythical final state of perfect, emotionless enlightenment or unwavering calm. Such a static endpoint likely doesn't exist for complex human beings. Rather, it is an ongoing, dynamic practice, a lifelong journey of continuous learning, patient refinement, and diligent application of these core principles day by day, situation by situation, moment by moment. There will undoubtedly be times we stumble, times our ingrained emotional reactions threaten to overwhelm our rational judgment, times we temporarily forget the crucial distinction between what we can and cannot control, and find ourselves uselessly railing against things far beyond our power. That is perfectly okay. It is part of the process. The Stoic path is fundamentally one of progress, not of unattainable perfection. As Seneca, another towering figure of Roman Stoicism, wisely advised, we should approach our own shortcomings with patience and kindness, treat ourselves as we would a friend who is learning and growing, and simply commit to resuming the practice. Each time we consciously pause before reacting impulsively, each time we deliberately choose a response guided by virtue rather than immediate emotion, each time we mindfully practice acceptance of what we cannot change, we add another layer of strength, another reinforcing stone, to our inner citadel. The timeless wisdom of Stoicism continues to echo powerfully across the centuries because it speaks directly to fundamental, universal human needs, the deep-seated desire for meaning in our lives, the essential requirement for resilience in the face of suffering, and the yearning for genuine inner peace in a world that often feels chaotic, stressful, and overwhelming. It offers us not a magical escape from life's inherent challenges, but rather a practical, empowering set of cognitive and behavioral tools to meet those challenges with increased grace, unwavering courage, and profound wisdom. It constantly reminds us of a fundamental truth. While we cannot always control the events that happen to us, we always, unequivocally, retain the sovereign power to choose how we respond to those events. Within that crucial space of choice lies our ultimate freedom. Within that choice lies our potential to cultivate moral excellence. And within that conscious, reasoned choice lies the clear pathway to a truly tranquil, meaningful, and flourishing life. A life lived with purpose, integrity, and profound inner peace, no matter the intensity of the storms that may occasionally rage outside our gates. The journey begins not tomorrow or next week, but right now, with this very breath, with this present moment, with the quiet, firm resolve to focus our precious attention on what is truly ours, to command our inner world, and to live, act, and choose accordingly. In our journey so far, we've laid the foundation, exploring the bedrock principles of Stoicism, the crucial wisdom of distinguishing what lies within our control from what does not, the unwavering pursuit of moral excellence as the sole source of true fulfillment, and the diligent construction of an inner citadel, a sanctuary of peace built through reason, resilience, and acceptance. We've seen how this ancient philosophy offers not an escape from life's storms, but a reliable compass and a sturdy vessel for navigating them. Now let us venture further inland from those shores of understanding. In this continuation, we will delve deeper into the practical application of these principles, particularly in the complex landscape of our relationships with others. We will explore how Stoic thought guides us in managing the full spectrum of difficult human emotions, clarify the vital role of living in accordance with nature and reason, and address some common challenges and misunderstandings that arise when we strive to walk this path in our modern world. This is about taking the blueprint we've examined and starting to build, integrating these ideas more fully into the daily fabric of our lives and interactions. One of the most profound and perhaps sometimes overlooked aspects of Stoicism is its inherently social dimension. While much focus is rightly placed on cultivating inner resilience, this philosophy was never intended to foster solitary detachment. Recall the cardinal virtue of justice encompassing fairness, integrity, and our duties towards others. The Stoics saw human beings as fundamentally social creatures, intrinsically connected, like individual threads woven into the vast tapestry of humanity. Thinkers like Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded themselves that we were born for cooperation, like rows of teeth, like hands and feet working in unison. This perspective leads to a powerful sense of cosmopolitanism, the idea that we are, first and foremost, citizens of the world. Our primary allegiance is to the shared community of rational beings. This understanding encourages us to look beyond the narrow confines of tribe, nation, or social group, and to recognize the inherent dignity and shared nature in all people. It calls us to act with fairness, kindness, and a sense of responsibility, not just towards our immediate circle, but towards the larger human family. But how do we apply this lofty ideal when faced with the frustrating, often hurtful reality of difficult people? Here, the dichotomy of control becomes an indispensable tool. Remember, the actions, opinions, and flaws of others are fundamentally outside your sphere of control. Their anger, ignorance, or unkindness belongs to them. What is within your control is your response, your judgment, and your own actions. The Stoics suggested a radical approach. View others' wrongdoing not primarily as malicious intent, but often as a result of ignorance, specifically, ignorance of what is truly good. People act poorly, they believed, because they mistakenly believe that external things like power, pleasure, or status are the highest goods, leading them to act unjustly or unkindly in their pursuit. Seeing things this way doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior, but it can shift our emotional response from burning anger or resentment towards something more akin to understanding, pity, or at least rational detachment. It allows us to protect our inner peace from being disturbed by external provocations. Our duty remains to act virtuously ourselves, to respond with reason, fairness, and perhaps even kindness where appropriate, not because the other person deserves it, but because we aspire to be just and rational beings. This might mean calmly correcting a falsehood without animosity, setting firm boundaries without malice, fulfilling our responsibilities even when others don't, or choosing constructive dialogue over escalating conflict. Our focus remains steadfastly on maintaining our own integrity, regardless of the storms raging in the external social environment. Beyond navigating difficult interactions, Stoicism offers profound guidance for managing our own challenging internal emotional landscapes, extending beyond the resilience discussed earlier. Consider grief, an unavoidable human experience. Stoicism does not advocate suppressing sorrow or pretending loss doesn't wound us. Instead, it encourages us to differentiate between the natural, initial shock and pain of loss, which is involuntary, and the prolonged, potentially destructive despair that can arise from irrational judgments about the loss. We can grieve, acknowledge the pain, but strive to do so virtuously. This might involve focusing on gratitude for the time we did have with a loved one, remembering their virtues and positive impact, and accepting the impermanent nature of all external things as part of the natural order of the universe. Acceptance here is not cold indifference, but a courageous embrace of reality, allowing us to eventually integrate the loss and continue living a meaningful life. Similarly, anxiety, that pervasive unease about the future, is often fueled by focusing intensely on what is uncertain and uncontrollable. Stoicism counters this by constantly redirecting our attention to the present moment and our sphere of immediate action. When anxieties arise, we can consciously ask, what specifically is within my control right now regarding this concern? Often the answer involves breaking down overwhelming future worries into small, manageable present actions, focusing diligently on the process rather than fixating on the uncertain outcome, or practicing perspective-shifting exercises like the view from above, contemplating our personal worries from a vast, cosmic perspective to see their relative scale. Disappointment, too, is often rooted in misplaced expectations, attaching our happiness too firmly to specific external outcomes, which were never entirely guaranteed. When we face setbacks, the Stoic approach encourages us to examine our underlying judgments. Did we place too much value on something outside our control? Can we shift our focus from the disappointing outcome to the quality of our effort and intention, which were within our control? Can we practice gratitude for what remains, rather than dwelling solely on what was lost or not gained? By recalibrating our expectations and focusing on our internal responses, we lessen the sting of external disappointments. Underpinning all these practices is the core Stoic principle of living in accordance with nature. This concept has a dual meaning. Firstly, it means living in accordance with our specific human nature, recognizing and cultivating our innate capacity for reason and our inherent social disposition. Secondly, it means living in harmony with the nature of the cosmos, understanding and accepting the rational, ordered, and interconnected structure of the universe and the natural flow of events within it, including those events we find difficult or painful. Aligning ourselves with reason is paramount. Reason allows us to analyze our impressions, challenge irrational beliefs, make sound judgments, understand cause and effect, and thereby avoid the unnecessary emotional turmoil caused by faulty thinking. It is the tool by which we navigate the world effectively and maintain our inner equilibrium. Understanding the broader nature of the universe helps foster acceptance, recognizing that change, challenge, loss, and eventual decay are fundamental aspects of the natural order applying to stars and empires as much as to our individual lives can help us meet these realities with greater equanimity. This understanding reinforces the wisdom of focusing on our own virtuous response, the one constant we can rely on amidst universal flux. It is another pathway toward that courageous embrace of reality, fostering peace not through denial, but through profound understanding. Despite its practical benefits, undertaking the path of Stoicism in earnest often involves navigating common challenges and persistent misconceptions. Perhaps the most frequent misunderstanding is that Stoicism advocates for becoming an emotionless robot, suppressing all feelings. This is inaccurate. The goal is not to eliminate emotions altogether impossible and undesirable for humans, but to understand their origins in our judgments and to manage or diminish the destructive emotions, like rage, paralyzing fear, consuming envy, that stem from irrational beliefs. Stoics distinguish between initial, involuntary physiological reactions, or proto-passions, and fully formed emotions that we have consciously assented to through our judgments. The work lies in intercepting the process before assenting to harmful judgments. Healthy emotions like joy and virtuous action, natural affection, or appropriate caution remain compatible with Stoic practice. Another related critique is that Stoicism leads to passivity or cold detachment from the world's suffering. Again, this misinterprets the philosophy. While Stoics accept what they cannot change, they are called to act vigorously and virtuously within their sphere of control. This includes working towards justice, improving society, fulfilling duties, and helping others. History shows many prominent Stoics were deeply engaged in public life, striving to make a positive impact precisely because their principles demanded it. Their acceptance of fate didn't paralyze them. It freed them to act effectively without being crippled by fear of failure or attachment to specific outcomes. Finally, it's crucial to acknowledge that living according to these principles is genuinely difficult. It requires constant vigilance, self-reflection, and effort. It is a lifelong practice, not a quick fix or a set of life hacks. There will be setbacks. Therefore, patience and self-compassion are essential. We must treat our own learning process with the same understanding we might offer a friend. Engaging with Stoic texts, journaling to examine our thoughts and reactions, as Marcus Aurelius did, seeking out like-minded individuals for discussion and support, these can all be invaluable aids on the journey. The key is consistent effort, focusing on incremental progress rather than demanding impossible perfection from ourselves. In this second part of our exploration, we've journeyed deeper into the practical terrain of Stoic living, applying its wisdom to our social interactions, managing the turbulence of our inner emotional world, understanding our place within the natural order, and confronting the real challenges of the path. We see more clearly, perhaps, how Stoicism offers a comprehensive framework not just for enduring hardship, but for actively flourishing across the entirety of human experience. It remains, as ever, an ongoing journey. It is the continuous, conscious effort to cultivate wisdom in our judgments, justice in our actions, courage in facing adversity, and temperance in our desires and reactions. It is the commitment to focusing our energy where it truly matters, on the quality of our own character and choices, thereby building an unshakable foundation for inner peace and meaningful living. A quiet strength capable of illuminating even the most challenging days in our complex modern world. The path is open, the tools are available, and the profound rewards, resilience, tranquility, and a life lived with purpose and integrity await those who choose to walk it. Let us bring this ancient wisdom crashing into the vibrant, chaotic, demanding reality of our world, the world of the 21st century. Let this final part serve not just as reflection, but as a spark, a moving call to action. For Stoicism is not a dusty relic to be admired in a museum of ideas. It is a living, breathing philosophy uniquely, powerfully, and perhaps more urgently suited to the specific challenges and pressures we face right now, today. It is time to see why this path isn't just relevant, but potentially essential, and to feel inspired to actively wield its principles as a force for profound positive change and enduring strength in your own life. Consider the very air we breathe in this modern age, saturated with information, relentless digital noise, and constant demands on our attention. Our minds, naturally seeking clarity and focus, are instead subjected to a perpetual barrage of notifications, endless feeds designed for addiction, news cycles that thrive on outrage, and a culture that often values instant reaction over thoughtful response. We feel scattered, overwhelmed, our mental energy fragmented. Here, Stoicism rises not as another demand, but as a liberating antidote. The call to practice wisdom becomes a call to intentionality, to consciously choose where we direct our precious focus. Applying the dichotomy of control means recognizing that while the deluge of information is external, our choice of what to consume, how deeply to engage, and how to interpret it remains firmly within our power. It's about reclaiming our mental space, cultivating the temperance to resist the compulsive scroll, and prioritizing deep thinking and genuine connection over the shallow validation of fleeting online trends. It's about choosing clarity over chaos. Think too of the pervasive pressures of consumer culture, amplified 1,000-fold by social media's curated highlight reels. We are relentlessly told that happiness lies just beyond the next purchase, the next promotion, the next exotic vacation, the next accumulation of likes and followers. Our sense of self-worth becomes dangerously tethered to these external markers, leaving us perpetually feeling inadequate, chasing a horizon that constantly recedes. Stoicism offers a radical counter-narrative, a powerful declaration of independence. It reminds us with unwavering certainty that true wealth, lasting fulfillment, and genuine self-worth are cultivated within. They are the fruits of our character, our integrity, our resilience, our compassion, our wisdom. This ancient philosophy empowers you to define your own value proposition, to build your self-esteem on the unshakable foundation of your inner life, impervious to the fluctuating opinions of the crowd or the state of your bank account. It's a call to find richness in virtue, not just possessions. And what of the palpable sense of uncertainty that permeates our era? We live amidst rapid technological disruption, economic volatility, environmental anxieties, and shifting geopolitical landscapes. The ground beneath our feet can feel unstable, the future uncertain. Fear and anxiety can easily take root, but it is precisely in such times that Stoicism reveals its true strength as a philosophy for turbulent times. It doesn't offer false promises of a predictable future or an escape from difficulty. Instead, it equips us with the psychological armor, the inner resilience needed to navigate the storm with courage and grace. Embracing the concept of welcoming reality, accepting the inherent uncertainty of external events, frees us from the paralyzing grip of anxiety. It allows us to focus our energy squarely on what we can control. Our reasoned responses, our virtuous actions, our commitment to contributing positively, however small our sphere of influence may seem. We cannot command the winds of change, but we can adjust our sails with skill and fortitude. In an age often characterized by polarized discourse and instant outrage, where online platforms can amplify anger and division, Stoicism offers a pathway to more constructive engagement. The call for justice and the recognition of our shared humanity urges us to resist tribalism, to look for the common ground beneath the surface disagreements. Remembering that others may act out of ignorance, not inherent malice, allows us to approach conflict with less reactive anger and more potential for understanding, or at least disengagement without bitterness. Focusing on our own virtue means choosing reasoned dialogue over inflammatory rhetoric, seeking to understand rather than merely to win, and contributing constructively rather than simply adding to the cacophony of indignation. It is the quiet strength of maintaining one's own integrity amidst the noise. Let no one tell you that this path is one of passive resignation. To live as a Stoic in the modern world is an act of profound, continuous, and active engagement. It is the daily work, often challenging, sometimes exhausting, always rewarding, of monitoring our thoughts, challenging our knee-jerk reactions, consciously choosing virtuous responses over impulsive ones, patiently building habits that align with our values, and courageously facing discomfort for the sake of growth. In a world that often seeks to disempower the individual, making us feel like cogs in a vast machine or leaves tossed by the wind, Stoicism radically reclaims our agency. It declares, unequivocally, that the ultimate locus of control resides within you, within your mind, your will, your character. This is not mere positive thinking. This is the cultivation of genuine inner power, the power to shape your experience from the inside out. So how do we build and fortify this inner citadel amidst the specific pressures of the 21st century? We can adapt the ancient practices. Practice digital temperance. Schedule tech-free times. Curate your information feeds ruthlessly. Engage mindfully rather than reactively. Reclaim your focus. Keep a journal, perhaps even a digital one, but use it in the spirit of Marcus Aurelius. Reflect on the day's challenges. Analyze your responses through the lens of the virtues. Identify where you succumb to faulty judgments and plan how to do better. Cultivate wisdom. Engage in active empathy, even online. Before reacting to a provocative post, pause. Consider the other person's likely perspective, even if flawed. Respond if you must with reason and fairness, upholding justice. Embrace voluntary discomfort. Deliberately choose the slightly harder path sometimes. Take the stairs, have a difficult but necessary conversation, endure a minor inconvenience without complaint. Build courage and resilience incrementally. Cultivate daily gratitude. Actively notice and appreciate the good in your life, however small a moment of connection, a simple pleasure, the functioning of your body. Counter the endless tide of consumerist desire with appreciation for what is. Practice wisdom and temperance. Apply negative visualization to modern anxieties. Contemplate losing internet access for a day, facing a professional setback, or dealing with a technological failure. Prepare your response, appreciate your current conveniences, build resilience. We stand now at the culmination of this three-part journey, having traced the enduring wisdom of Stoicism from its ancient roots to its vibrant potential in our lives today. The core promise remains unchanged across the millennia. Stoicism does not offer a magical shield against hardship, pain, or loss. Life will continue to present its challenges, but it does offer something far more valuable: the tools, the mindset, the unwavering inner compass to navigate those challenges with meaning, purpose, resilience, and a profound, unshakable inner peace. The power to live this way does not lie in some distant future, after you've achieved some external goal. It resides within you right now, in this moment. The capacity for reason, the potential for virtue, The choice to accept reality and focus on your response. These are inherent aspects of your humanity, waiting to be cultivated. So embrace this challenge. Embrace this journey not as a burden, but as an opportunity. See Stoicism not merely as a coping mechanism for difficult times, but as a proactive strategy for flourishing in all times. Use these principles to cut through the noise, to find clarity amidst the chaos, to build unbreakable inner strength, and to connect with your deepest values. The world needs more people grounded in reason, committed to justice, acting with courage, and living with temperance. You have the tools. You have the inherent capacity. The choice, as always, is yours. Choose to engage. Choose resilience. Choose virtue. Choose to build your inner citadel, strong and serene, amidst the complexities of this modern age. Choose not just to navigate the world, but to thrive within it. Choose to flourish.